What's up, guys? It's Wick. Just thought I'd do a video. I was actually getting ready to do a video on layering mechanics, but I had an opportune moment happen in the server war today. I thought I wanted to share with everybody in a video I was planning on doing down the line on server war and point discordance. So, point power discordance. So, it's interesting. I don't know if I'd call it a glitch in the game, but the developers um, created a complete mismatch on power per tier versus points per tier earned. And in summary, what it means is that you get a lot more points for killing middle layer troops, T9s and 11s, than you get for killing top tier and bottom tier troops. And you'll see what this means for strategy and what this means versus battlefields, and why essentially the summary of this video should be never ever use small siege rallies in SVS, because you can go way positive on power, but you go way negative on points. So we were in server war this weekend against 484, and this is a score now before two T11 rallies on me. This was a tight one. We were up, I think we had 4.1, 4.2 billion points. They were 3.9, 3.5 or something like that. It was like a 300 or 400 million differential that we were ahead. And that's always a tight war. That's just one K36 for getting to bubble and it's over. Um, but I did, as you know, my teammates like to make fun of me, fall asleep on the other server while conquering a temple. But I happened to be on, just you know, doing the normal tinkering you do whenever you have a big keep, and all of a sudden the screen turns red, and I'm thinking there must be hitting what's in the temple, and lo and behold, it's a rally on me. So it was a T11 rally, and one of the most important concepts of this game is knowing the details, the rules of the game. Just like any game you're going to play, there's rules and they're going to affect what you do in the outcome. And if you notice the power on T15s here, the power is what you see on your battle report. When you see minus 1.3 billion and they have minus 1.1 billion, it's a tally of the power. That doesn't equate points though for the middle layers, and that's what I want to go over in this video. So right here you see a T15 with 163 power, you see a T11 with 35 power, T1 with 2 power. And now these are important only insofar that you compare them to the points you get. And this is the points. I'm going to get to it in a minute where you summarize them all. T1 points. This is where you find them all, right? You go to server war, get scores, and this is where you see how much points you get per. Again, this is the menu from the rally spot. When you go to troop details, you can tap on each layer and see all of these details. But when you get to server points versus power ratios, it's very simple arithmetic. This is a listing of all the tiers, the big tiers, right, that you're going to use in the T11, T1, whatever attack. And I want to go over the ratio of the power to the points. When you look at the top tier, T15, and the bottom tier, T1, it's roughly 2 to 1. Maybe a little more than 2 to 1. So make for power versus points for T15. But it's roughly 2 to 1. All of a sudden, you jump down to the middle layers, and it's 1 to 1. So let me break that down, what that means. That means when you kill one T1, T11, right, you get X amount of points, right? You're going to get 35 points. And you're going to get 35 power you take. You get 38 points in SVS. In other words, you're getting more points per power for each kill. When you kill a T15 or a T1, you get 2 to 1 ratio roughly. You're getting half the points per power. So if you take a T11 and try to kill off T1s or T15s, the guy who's losing the T15s or T1s on defense is giving up half points per power. The guys who are hitting him with T11s or T9s are losing a little bit more points than 1 to 1 per power for T11s and T9s. It's a weird nuance of the game. I don't know what the developers are thinking. Maybe whenever they developed SVS, they just, the one off guy in one office didn't talk to the other, or maybe that's the way they want it to be. But this generally means that hitting T1 traps is a bad proposition. Hitting big monster keeps with middle siege is a very bad proposition, and it should alter the way you see the game when you're doing SVS if it's a points game, which it usually is, because everybody usually does the throne truce. And you should be very wary of which troops you're killing and which troops you're going to attack with a rally. So what happens whenever people send a T11, a build like mine, which has monster siege up and down, and heavy T1 through 4, they killed only the top and the bottom. They don't really do a lot of damage in the middle. So here's the attack. I went negative. It's 1.3 billion for me and 1.25 ish for them. So I'm a little negative here, and you would think this would be a very even exchange. When they looked at this, they were probably like, "Hell's yeah!" And by the way, these guys have been great that we're fighting. Much props to them. I was actually really excited that they did rally me. It's been a while, and I like getting rallied because it helps teach you where your holes in the defense are and how to get stronger as a keep. So yeah, it's important in terms of your development to want to be hit and to want to see where the holes in your keep are so that you can plug them. So here's the attack. It's a big siege. You can see the generals here and the power, etc. And I have my sub-city troops, so my debuffs are there. I'm a little edged out on the siege here because, but I also wasn't buffed because again I was kind of caught off guard. And if you look at what they took of mine, I'm sorry, of theirs, this is what they sent. It was a T11. It was a T11 attack. They're all T11s here, and of mine they took my 14 siege, a little bit of my 12. But they also took all my lower layers. Now, what did we talk about earlier on in that earlier picture where I go over the point powers? The point power ratio, in other words, the points per power is pretty much half or 1 to 2 at the top and the bottom. That's all they killed here. And they're losing more than 1 to 1 in their T11. So my T2s are gone. My T1s, took a little bit of a hit, but this is them again, all T11. They lose 3 million. Maybe they killed 13 million T2s, T3s, T4s here, but they're only getting half a point for that kill, and I'm getting more than 1 point for the T11s at a much bigger absolute number. This is the second follow-up T11 they hit me with. This time I did buff, so it's a little less of a negative, or actually went a little bit positive here, because I did get my Gate Castle up. I did turn my Monarch gear on. I did turn my super buffs on here. So the buffs are a little better here for me on defense. But again, you would think, because if you looked at this at first blush without understanding point power discordance, you'd be like, oh, this is pretty even. Right? It's not too bad of a loss. The other one went positive. This one went a little negative. The score should stay roughly the same. And again, this time they're hitting my T14 siege here. Again, a little more on my 12. And that one I do lose a little bit more points, but not as much as 11 or 9. Excuse me. And again, this is them sending all 11s. There's no other layers here but 11. This is a T11 siege attack. This I thought was interesting because they didn't add a layer, which I don't know why that works, but I find it interesting. There's a mechanic in layering that I want to talk about in my layering video that I'm scripting, that this is an interesting phenomenon in the game. When people don't send layers into a big rally when they have you out-layered. We'll go into that. But here's the score after those two siege attacks, right? So this was a very tight server war. Before that, we were only about 300 million apart. I was, I think, 1.2 billion positive and 900 million negative. And if you look at my score here, all of a sudden, I've got 3.5 billion points, and I'm minus 2.2. So I just hit like a billion swing on those two attacks. But if you looked at the power, you'd say, well, what the hell? How did he go so positive? It's the point power discordance. So it's very important to understand whenever you are doing server war, points don't equal power, and you should act accordingly. It should change your strategy. I just tell people we're never going to use T11 in our server wars. Listen, if you have questions, reach out. I'm on Discord. I'm on the game. I will ask you guys, either hit a like button or subscribe, because not because I monetize the channel, I haven't. But they won't unlock, YouTube Studio won't unlock all the advanced editing features until I have a certain number of views. So once I get those likes, I'm not going to be back. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be sitting here like Jengus, like, a whore for likes. I'm just going to be asking you guys to get me unlocked, and I'll be done. Guys, hope this helps. Like I said, hit me up if you have any questions.